Welcome to the Wedding Planning 101, where I'm going to show you how to plan your wedding like a pro. If you just got engaged and you're thinking, okay, now what? Or if you're already knee-deep in wedding planning and feeling completely overwhelmed, this podcast is for you. If you're ready for insider tips, actionable advice, and real talk from someone who's been behind the scenes of over 500 weddings, then let's get planning. Hey there, and welcome back. I'm Amanda Jerome, and if you're joining me for episode 2, that means you've already done the hard work of identifying your top priorities from episode 1. And if you haven't listened to that episode yet, pause right now and go back, because everything we're talking about today builds on that foundation. So you've got your priority tree sorted out. You know what matters most to you as a couple when it comes to planning your love celebration. Now comes the question that makes everyone a little uncomfortable. How much is this actually going to cost? Today, we're diving into building your budget, doing proper research before booking vendors, and understanding where your money should go. And yes, we're going to talk about the uncomfortable stuff, like whether you're accepting money from parents and what that might mean for your planning process. Before we get started, make sure you've got your workbook handy. There's a section for episode 2 where you're going to map out your actual budget. And if you want to do this work while we're listening, awesome. You can grab the workbook in the show notes if you haven't downloaded it yet. All right, let's talk money. First things first, you need to set a budget for your wedding. And I know this can feel awkward or stressful, but we're going to break it down into really simple questions. First, how much money do you have saved right now? Not how much you wish you had, not how much you think you'll need. How much do you actually have in the bank today that you can allocate towards your wedding? Number 2, how much can you realistically put aside each month moving forward? If your wedding is a year away, you can save $500 a month. That's an additional $6,000. If you can save $1,000 a month, that's $12,000. Do the math for your specific timeline. Now, here's where it gets a little more complicated. Are you getting sponsorship from either side of your parents? If the answer is yes, I need you to have a very honest conversation with yourselves about this. What is it worth to you for them to have a say in your day if they're giving you money for the day? Let me share my own experience with this. My parents gave me $10,000 for my wedding. But they wanted me to invite cousins I wasn't particularly close with and hadn't planned to include. And I thought about it, weighed it out, and said, okay, that trade-off was something I was willing to make. But here's what I need you to hear. Don't assume that parental money is a gift that won't come with attachments, because it will. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I have never, not once, seen a situation where parents contribute financially and don't have opinions about how that money gets used. So when you accept the money from your parents, you need to set energetic boundaries about what's okay and what's not okay. This is your day. You get to decide what trade-offs you're willing to make and where to draw the line. Now, I'm going to expand on setting boundaries, navigating family dynamics, and the emotional side of wedding planning in the next episode. But for this one, let's focus on the actual budget allocation and how to strategically use whatever money you do have. Okay, so now you know your number. You've added up your savings, your monthly contributions, and any parental contributions. Let's say, for easy math, you have $50,000 to work with. I want you to think about your budget as a pie. And the biggest slice of that pie, by far, is going to be your venue and catering. Here's how this typically breaks down. If your venue doesn't include food, it's probably going to be about 20% of your budget. So from a $50,000 budget, that's $10,000 for the venue. And you have $40,000 left to spend on everything else, including catering. If your venue doesn't provide the food and drink, it's probably going to be closer to 60% of your budget. So that's $30,000 on the venue with food and drinks included. So you have $20,000 left over for everything else. Do you see how dramatically different those two scenarios are? Now, what is everything else? Everything else includes flowers, photographer, videographer, music, whether it's a DJ or a band, officiant, your wedding license, additional decor and rentals, and even perhaps your dress, suit or tux, hair and makeup, invitations, and any other personal expenses. All of this goes around the wheel of your budget pie, and ideally, none of these categories should really encroach too much into the others. And that's when you start running into problems if they do. Now, this is where episode 1 becomes crucial. Remember those top 3 priorities you identified? Understanding exactly what those priorities are will allow you to make informed decisions about where to allocate more of your budget. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're working with that $50,000 budget. You've spent $30,000 on your venue with food and drinks, and now you have $20,000 left over for everything else. And let's say one of your top priorities is having luxurious, amazing, beautiful floral arrangements as your centerpieces. You find a florist whose work you absolutely love, and they quote you $12,000 for what you want. Okay, pause. That's 60% of your remaining budget on flowers. Now, I'm not saying you can't prioritize flowers. If they're genuinely one of your top 3 priorities and you're willing to make sacrifices in other areas to have them, that's your choice to make. But you need to ask yourself, can we scale back? Can we meet in the middle? Can we get the look we want for $6,000 or $8,000 instead? Because here's what happens when you don't ask those questions. You book the $12,000 florist, and now you have $8,000 left for your photographer, videographer, DJ, officiant, dress, hair, makeup, etc., etc. And suddenly you're stressed. You're going over budget, and you're wondering where it all went wrong. This is why the priority exercise matters. This is why you don't just book vendors because you love their work. You have to do the math first. So let's talk about the actual research process, because this is where I see couples make huge mistakes. The research process is figuring out what dollars you have, how much you'd be willing to spend for a spot at a venue that includes food and drink, a roof over people's heads, tables, chairs, cutlery, and all the other essentials. Once you see how much money you have left after the venue and catering, that will direct you to what other vendors are going to be within your budget. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen couples book high-end vendors that are completely outside of their budget because they fell in love with their work without doing the math first. They see a photographer's Instagram, they love the aesthetic, and they book them for $8,000 or $10,000. And then they realize that was supposed to cover 3 or 4 different vendor categories. And look, I get it. You want beautiful photos, you want the amazing flowers, you want the day to be perfect. But here's the reality. If you only have a certain budget, the question isn't, how do I get everything I see on Pinterest? The question is, how can I strategically use this money to set myself up for success? Not everyone can afford the tippy top luxury vendors, and that's okay. What matters is that you're making intentional choices based on your priorities and your actual numbers. All right, before we wrap up, I want to share a couple of money-saving strategies that can really make a difference. First of all, use travel rewards credit cards strategically. And I'm talking credit cards like Aeroplan credit cards or other travel rewards programs. And here's what you do. Use that credit card like a debit card. Put all of your wedding expenses on it. Venue deposits, vendor payments, everything. And then pay it off immediately. Don't carry a balance and don't pay the interest. What you're doing is racking up points for your honeymoon flights. You're spending $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on your wedding. Those points add up fast. You could potentially cover your entire honeymoon flights just from the points you accumulate through your wedding expenses. Second, open a tax-free savings account. If you're in Canada, a TFSA is your friend. And in the US, check out the Roth IRA. And here's why. You know your deposit schedules with all of your vendors, right? You know when payments are due. So put that money into a tax-free savings account. Even the money that you're putting aside every month to your wedding savings, in any parental contributions that you might receive. And then it's money being made off of your money while you wait to pay those deposits. It benefits on your taxes at the end of the year, and you're earning interest in the meantime. It's a small thing, but why not make your money work for you? These aren't massive life-changing hacks, but they're smart strategies that type A, budget-conscious couples like you can use to maximize what you've got. Okay, here's your homework after this episode. First, fill out that budget section in your workbook. Write down your actual numbers, your savings, your monthly contributions, your parental contributions, all of it. Second, create your budget pie. Figure out how much you're allocating to your venue and catering and how much you have left for everything else. Third, start researching your vendors within your budget range. It's hard not to fall in love with someone's work and book them, but you need to ask for the pricing first. See who's in your range, and then look at their work a little more deeply. And remember, you've already done the hard work of identifying your priorities in episode 1. Use that as your guide. If photography is a top priority, allocate more there. If flowers aren't even on your radar, scale back. Your budget should reflect what actually matters to you. Now, I mentioned earlier that accepting money from parents often comes with strings attached. In the next episode, we're going to dive deep into setting boundaries, navigating family dynamics, and managing expectations, and all the emotional stuff that comes up during wedding planning. Because trust me, it's not just about the money, it's about the relationships. Until then, do the math, be honest with yourselves, and know that whatever your budget is, you can create a beautiful, meaningful wedding day that reflects who you are as a couple. I'm Amanda Jerome, and I'll see you in episode 3. Happy planning! Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Wedding Planning 101. If you're ready to take the stress out of wedding planning and get organized like a pro, head to weddingplanning101.com to get your Wedding Planning 101 workbook. Inside, you'll find everything we talked about in this episode, plus templates, checklists, budget trackers, and all the tools you need to plan your wedding day with confidence so you can actually enjoy the day when it gets here. Your dream day is waiting, and it starts with planning it like a pro.